someone's capable of lying to that extent, they're capable of lying about anything. No matter what I say, I just can't get it right with him.
Can I sit with you?
Yes, you can sit with me.
And we want you to sit with us. It's Dom.
And Ella.
You may know us from finding love on reality TV, and by that we mean with each other.
Two best friends figuring out life.
Chatting all things reality TV, because, how could we not?
And all things in between. Sex, relationships, dating, and navigating being a female in the world.
Unfiltered and fabulous advice
From your two besties.
Nervous.
Ooh.
Is my boob out?
Oh, well, if it is.
we can start the episode with that because our tits are always out in one form or
We always
another.
talk about tits on here.
Welcome back to another episode of Sit With Us, guys. We have two very special guests.
We do.
Today.
We have our first fur guest. Yeah. It's our first fur guest. Well, everybody welcome Cub.
Cub, look at the camera. Good boy. And Cub's mum, the gorgeous Eden from Married at First Sight. We are so incredibly blessed and lucky to have you sit with us here today.
And we're very excited.
Me. I'm a little bit nervous, but it's okay.
It's okay. You'll get through it.
You'll get through it. We've got so much to chat about. But we really just want to start from the beginning.
From the very
So
start.
why MAFS? Yeah.
I do think that finding someone's not hard, but finding the right person can be very difficult. I feel like I've had a lot of failed relationships and I was like, we're just going to try something different.
Yeah.
And I think, I reckon it was about a year before I went on MAFS, me and one of my girlfriends went to Europe, did the Euro summer thing.
Yeah.
And I remember after that trip, me and her saying we need to be yes people and just start saying yes to things, doing more and stop being reserved. And I am a bit of a homebody. So I've really tried to put myself out there a little bit more lately. So yeah.
And so you went on MAFS, man.
And so you became a yes man. But I love that because I feel like that's what I did as well. I was like, you know what? Why not?
Yes.
You've got to, put yourself out.
What do you have to
there.
lose?
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, in some cases, people can lose everything.
Yes.
Well, they can lose their minds. They can lose
your job.
Lose reputation.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot to lose actually. But I don't know. I think if you're a good person and I
agree.
Stop and think and I'm like, worst case scenario, I lose everything. But I also think I'm not the most horrible person in the entire planet. And I just couldn't picture that kind of happening, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm I'm not quiet, I'm not shy, but I'm in the comparison of personalities on MAFS, I'm a quieter person, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably compared to you, Dom. I'd be pretty fucking quiet.
I mean, I'm also quiet compared to Dom.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm just a little ADHD, Yeah. But so your wedding, I have to say your wedding was the favourite.
It was.
We
loved it.
I mean, we both
one of the best days of my
cried.
life.
It was
Yeah, genuinely, it was, and I think it's the first day. You guys would have experienced it too. Obviously, the first day you're filming, I'd never done this stuff before, and it was just crazy. And there was crew everywhere, and cameras, and people, and me and him were vibing, and his family were amazing, and my friends loved him, and it was the best day ever.
So the elephant in the room is that you were matched with Jayden, and turns out that you and Ella actually could have been sister-in-laws.
We could have been sister-in-laws,
and thank God that we aren't though.
You'd rather be friends than sister-in-laws.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would have been great sister-in-laws, to be fair.
I know.
Yeah.
You guys would have had so much fun.
We would have.
So
Family
Jayden,
Christmases would have been wild.
Jayden, who was your match.
Yes.
And when Ella did Married at First Sight,
Mitchell was mine.
yes, and they are brothers.
They are
which
brothers.
the apple does not fall far from the tree. We have come to
No.
learn, unfortunately.
Your words, not mine.
Well,
Yes.
but when I heard that Jayden was going on MAFS, to be honest, at first I'm like, this is so weird and random because out of everyone on our season, Mitch hated the show. Hated it. Despised it, questioned the experts, thought it was all just fake and didn't trust anyone. And when Jayden was going on it, I'm like, why? This makes no sense.
I don't know if it was that, I don't think Mitch was kind of in his ear telling him to do it. I think Jayden was potentially going on another show and then it kind of fell into becoming MAFS. I don't think it was initially Mitch saying, I'm going to get you. I don't think that was the plan for them at all. Obviously, I can't speak for them, but that's what I've heard.
Because I think for a lot of people, it was oh, look at this, obviously Mitch had been on there. But I think, with what Ella went through and how I guess that all came across. Mitch didn't really come out with like a great reputation because people loved Ella and were so sad to see her devastated at Final Vows and, you know, to hear everything that came out eventually. So when we met Jayden at your wedding,
isn't it? Really, and we literally were just showing Tim some clips from our season because he hadn't seen any, and it was when Mitch was trying to leave. That's what we were showing Tim, and it's just like it kind of refreshed my memory a bit because you kind of put it aside and block it out when it's been 3 years.
And so when the audience this year, you know, met Jayden and then put 2 and 2 together that, oh my God, Mitch is Jayden's brother. Obviously he was at the wedding, you know, it was all part of the story. When you know, walked down the aisle, Jayden turned around, what was your initial reaction and how did the day eventuate from there? Like you started this episode by saying it was the best day of your life. You enjoyed
one
it.
Of them.
Yeah, one of the best days.
Getting Cub was the number one.
Yeah, of course.
As soon as I saw him, I was stoked. Like, over the moon. I like big, tall, athletic build. I don't like clean cut. I like a bit scruffy. And like Jayden, have you seen his hair? He's very scruffy. So
he's got longer hair than me.
We got a lot of questions.
Nicer hair than me too.
We got a lot of questions saying how did Eden cope with the long hair? I think.
Yeah, so I was just over the moon because you never know what you're going to get matched with. And I think my biggest fear was being matched with, you know, someone that I didn't click with and I didn't get along with or I didn't find them attractive. Like that's
it's your worst fear, right?
Yeah, totally. As soon as I saw him, I was like, well, I find him attractive. That's a tick.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we started chatting, I was like, oh, he's sweet. Like everything's great.
You guys hit it off at the wedding.
Oh.
Honestly, it reminded me of my experience with Mitch. Like obviously now I'm married and all of that and that's the best thing ever. But back then when I did do that whole experience with Mitch, I was saying as well, literally what you just said. It was the best day ever.
Yeah.
And seeing what you and Jayden had, I was like, this is so weird because it's like your chemistry, your connection. It was an instant physical thing too. Like
totally.
It was the best wedding to watch of the whole season, I have to say.
And like real and we all felt it.
Yeah.
I remember loving the dance. And as you guys know, a lot of your wedding gets cut out.
Yes.
So there's the cake and the photo shoot and you only get the speeches, you only get a little bit of each one shown or a lot of them get cut out. And I remember saying the entire experiment to Jayden, I just hope they don't cut the dance out because I didn't want to do the dance. I remember begging them on the phone, I'm not doing the dance. I'm not doing that. Like, I don't know how to dance. I'm not doing it. And it was the best like 5 minutes of my life. And the funniest thing, as you guys know, you submit a song.
Yes.
We both submitted the same song. So you submit 3 songs each and they pick one of the 6 that you submit. We both submitted the same song as our first one. Wow. So they played that same, because when it started playing, I was like, oh, they picked mine. And he's like, no, this is mine. I was like, no, it's mine. And we picked the same song and they put that on and then he like really led the way and I'd asked for someone who can lead the way and hold the room and stuff like that because I just like to take a back seat, I suppose. So the dance was the best. I loved it so much.
It was actually really nice.
Yeah,
it was. So it honestly was. I can just
it was a perfect wedding.
Yeah.
It was a perfect wedding. And then you went on to have like a perfect honeymoon.
Yeah.
Yep. And honeymoon was amazing.
And you guys just kind of slid into this life together, like really seamlessly.
Really
easily. And it did actually remind me a lot of Ella and Mitch in that sense because you guys just got on like a house on fire from there. And
I feel like Eden and I are really similar.
Yeah.
Like those boys got fucking lucky.
Yeah.
No, I'm like they got so lucky. Like to get matched with girls like us who are like easygoing, chill, open, like all the things that most men would want.
Yeah.
You know, like they got so lucky.
I think I really tried to support Jayden through whatever kind of came up as well, as everyone kind of saw. So we did really click, but you know, even when no one was there, I posted a lot of the videos now so people can see it. When no one was there, we were still on top of each other, laughing, running around the apartment. He was cooking me dinner every night. I was washing his training clothes. It was literally just like married couple from the get-go, no problems. We only ran into the problems towards the end, really.
And that's usually where, I mean, for me, it was the same. That's when it unfolded towards the end, when things are getting really intense.
And you're getting to the pointy end of things and it's like, okay, we're really thinking about our futures here. You know, not only that are you thinking about future, but stuff with the group gets heavier towards the end. And this is why Married at First Sight is like so like, oh my, like you just can't look away, is because that it always happens. Like something always happens amongst the group. It's like, you know, you're putting all these different personalities together.
Yeah.
Something is bound to happen.
And the shit that happens, like You can't script that, man.
No.
Like, it is real drama. It's like clashing. It's all real.
So many people on the street say to me like, "Oh, it's got to be a little bit scripted." I was like, "It is not scripted."
We still get it to
all
this
the
day
time.
3 years later.
It's
got to be
just,
scripted.
How can they script this stuff?
I know.
Like,
I
who
know.
could write that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just takes twists and turns that no one would ever expect,
Exactly.
and it continues to do it up until the very last day.
Yeah.
And even after, it's still doing it now.
True.
One of the biggest wow moments, I guess, for you in your relationship with Jayden was during Confessions Week.
That was the first like major
Hurdle,
What
you would call it?
Like, yeah, it was.
Bump in the
Confessions
road.
Week is obviously
Yeah.
an opportunity for someone to share maybe a secret or like something that's happened that, you know, has been hard for you to overcome, or like, you know, I remember mine was like that. Yours was too.
Yes, yeah.
But Jayden's was
Like, why did he pick that? Like, why did he say that?
The confession was that Jayden, to get back at his ex, wanted to sleep with someone else in front of her to make her jealous, angry. We don't really know, to be honest.
why?
That's the long story short,
Yeah.
isn't it? The first thing I asked myself when I watched that scene was, honestly, why the fuck would he choose that as a confession?
Knowing your history.
Yes.
I also remember as he was saying it, I was thinking, why are you saying this out loud? As much as I was kind of like, wait, maybe I misjudged him. Maybe he's different to what I thought he was, because I was like, what is he saying? But then I was also like, even if you did this, why are you saying this on national TV?
Did you ever ask him that, like after the fact? Saying it on TV, knowing that this
Yeah.
is going to be the biggest talking point in the country that
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
which it
Yeah.
was. Like,
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to
putting,
bring up.
and it's putting you through that too. It's not only the
Yeah.
like the ex and everyone else involved. It's
Yeah.
putting you through that too, and him knowing your history with
Yeah.
being cheated on and
Yeah. There was just a lot of blaming everyone else for that.
no accountability.
No. And I think he eventually saw it in a different light because of the way that I would explain it to him. And I'm like, the way that you speak about it makes it sound like you're proud of it. And I would really explain it to him like that. And eventually it kind of got through to him. But initially it was just like, it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault, it's this, and it went on and on, like, which happened a lot behind, like off camera, I suppose.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare.
Do you think Jayden was trying to have one persona for the camera and had a different one off camera? Not like two personalities, but I guess was trying to be something that he wasn't.
Not necessarily, because I think that he is a bit of a showman, though, and he'd admit that himself.
Yeah.
I'm not
With
like,
his sport and everything, and
Yeah.
he knows
He-
he's good.
It comes
and
with it.
he loves
with it.
attention.
Yeah.
He loves to put on a show for everyone. He, you know, if he'd be the first one to take his top off and be dancing, being stupid, that's just him.
Yeah.
So the more people that are in the room, the more likely he is to
Egged on.
play up
Yeah.
and continue to do that. So naturally, when cameras are around, he is a more enthusiastic. But I don't necessarily think I think it could be 5 people or 5 cameramen, it wouldn't matter. He puts on a show. Do you get what I mean?
So do you think him choosing that confession in particular was just a way of being a showman in some, you know?
I truly don't know why he chose that. And I still to
It's
this
a
day
mystery.
don't know. And I think at the time it was probably the second week of knowing him. And I was
a lot.
really
Yeah.
upset.
Oh
And
my
I was
God, of
kind of just like
course.
rethinking everything, like
As you would.
what is going on. But I think watching it back on TV the second time, and I'd been dating the guy for what, like, is it like 7 months by that point? It was a whole different bunch of emotions. I was watching it angry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an angry person either, as everyone's probably seen. I'm pretty calm and relaxed at all times, but I was watching it and there was steam coming out of my ears. I was like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with him?
Yeah.
I think because at that point I'm in love with the guy and I've been with him for so long, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what? I'm watching
Like,
it thinking,
why? Yeah.
Like, there's just so many questions, and I never really got answers to majority of them, to be honest.
I thought when that whole thing came out, I was like, one, he's either just doing this for the cameras, like to cause headlines and for clout and for TV and
It's
for
just, why would you want it negatively though? That's the part I don't
Exactly.
get.
It
Why
doesn't
would
make
you-
sense, right?
I truly, this is my personal opinion, and I'm not saying this is correct, but I personally don't think he thought it was bad until I made him realize it was bad. Do you know what I'm saying? I genuinely think he didn't think there was something wrong with it until I was like, what is wrong with you?
It's kind of like bringing up for me when Mitch said that comment, I fucked you already, you're on the board, it's done.
I've heard about, I haven't watched that, but I've heard about that.
you gotta go back and watch
and when
that.
the experts brought it up with him, he didn't see it.
That it was a bad thing.
No.
Really? What did he say?
He was just kind of like, he didn't remember.
No, he didn't.
He didn't remember.
Chose not to remember.
Yeah, no, that's
convenient.
Right. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe they don't really realize what they're saying, how it's going to affect or how it's going to look.
Yeah.
You said watching it back, you were angry in that moment. Did a part of your anger stem from the fact that kind of dawned on you that there was a part of him that was maybe trying to get back at an ex or trying to like shame her or make her look like a fool?
Yeah.
Why is he bringing
someone else into this?
I think when I watched it back, I felt that way about it. Definitely. I thought, this poor girl, I'm watching this on national television. This girl is watching on national television. He's dragged her through the mud. He's dragged me through the mud because now in every headline about it, my name's in it too.
Yeah.
And
I just,
so hard.
Rewatching it back, I was just so angry. Honestly, it was probably one of the angriest days of my life. I left work and everything. I was furious. Yeah. The next day after it, because I just couldn't get it out, I was just furious.
I mean, I don't blame you. I think it was shocking to watch.
Yeah,
and I think it did get a lot of headlines, and you know,
I'm thinking,
everyone was talking about it.
I'm sitting there thinking as well, like his mum's watching that.
Yeah.
Like his parents.
And your parents. I'm sorry. Like your family, your friends.
I said that to him at the time when I rewatched again. I was like, do you realize that my whole family had to watch that? My colleagues, my bosses, my friends' partners that you're going to meet and spend time with. I'm like, it's a bit
look
hard.
Like
a fool and I look like a fool.
And it's like, how do I at the end of the day?
And it's like, how do I defend you? How do I help you look any better because you've literally said this?
I mean, you don't.
You can't.
And it's not Eden's job either.
I
think that's, we get caught up, I think as women in particular, we get caught up thinking that we've always got to like stick up for our partners or we've got to like make excuses for them or, we've got to fix their wrongs.
Yeah.
But I think in that instance, it was like, you're on your own, Jayden. Like,
at the same
nothing.
time, I didn't want to hold him to his past, and I think if you can grow and be a better person than you were before, then I can forgive.
Yes, and you did say that in the show. I remember.
I really can forgive people for the past and move forward. And I wanted to do that, but then I had to live it again a second time. Yeah. So I was like, now I'm angry again. Yeah. Like now I'm living it again. Yeah. Like I would have forgiven you, but now I have it. Like, it was hard. It was really hard.
And then it came out, I don't remember how long after, the ex went on to a podcast and spoke about it. She said it wasn't true?
Correct.
So it wasn't true.
Jayden has admitted to me that it didn't happen.
So
I'm confused.
Jayden, during Confessions Week, made up a lie about, a pretty intense thing to do to an ex. He put you through that twice because once when you filmed it and then once having to view it again. He lied about it. And there's been...
Made himself look worse.
And then no explanation to you.
No, like I'm mind boggled by it. It doesn't make sense to me. And then I think that probably snowballed my anger around it because I was like, why did you do this? Why would you make up a story to make yourself look bad and make your ex look bad and then drag me through it too?
But to hurt someone else. I think, it's not only hurting the ex.
Revenge thing.
Yeah. It's a revenge thing. Yeah. It's disgusting. But in turn, he didn't think about anyone else other than himself. He wasn't thinking about his ex. He wasn't thinking about you at all.
I don't even think he thought about himself though because it made him look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Like,
it doesn't make any, it doesn't. And it truly doesn't. And I have no answers for it. But I remember it honestly really riled me up for so long. And I just had to because I couldn't get an answer.
You just got to put it to bed.
I was like, why did you make this up? Why? And I got a million different stories, but there was no real one that made sense, to be honest. So I just really wanted him to sit there and say, I fucked up. I made a mistake and I fucked up and I shouldn't have done it. But I just couldn't get that from him. So I just in the end had to just park it. Yeah. Just forget about it.
And how simple would that have just been? Like,
and how much would that have changed everything?
Like I was supportive anyway.
Yeah.
Angry, but supportive.
Yeah, angry but supportive.
I was trying to be, but I was like, I just wanted him to really just say, I fucked up. Yeah. But yeah.
When did he tell you that it was a lie? Was that while the show was airing or it was while?
So I didn't find out till it aired.
So you lasted the entire experiment thinking that this was true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know exactly, but maybe a day or two. It was when the podcast came out with the ex-girlfriend. I then questioned it and he gave me the correct answer.
And you guys were still together at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you feel like because he lied about it months ago so easily that maybe you questioned other things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was very trusting of Jayden from the get-go. He works in nightclubs, you know, just a lot of different things. And I was very trusting of him compared to a lot of other relationships that I've been in. I didn't question anything. I didn't feel any certain way. But from that point on, I had my guard up and, you know, I would over question things. He'd say, I'm doing this. And then I was in my head like, well, I know you can lie now.
Yeah.
So I was questioning a lot after that. Because I think if someone's capable of lying to that extent, they're capable of lying about anything.
100%.
So I then had it. I don't know if he has lied about anything else, but I definitely was questioning that a lot after that.
That's why I think as well, us as women, when we're single and we have our guard up and we're dating, like I've been in that situation too where you've been lied to and like a trust has been betrayed. Like we're going into the next one thinking, feeling a little insecure and like even more so from another experience. It's like for him, for Jayden, I'm like, what was the intent behind the confession and then lying about it?
I don't know.
You know, and I guess we'll never, I mean, you won't
never know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
I doubt he'll ever. I mean,
which is then really interesting because then, you know, you guys, you know, you get back on track and everything's great and, you know, you're going through the experiment and then all of this stuff happens with Sara. The borrowing a top, then telling you that she's going and catching up with her ex, which is so weird to me that she even has the balls or the hide to even tell you that she's
To tell anyone. Like
but someone in the experiment
I know.
to tell you that she's going to meet up with her ex.
I've said it a few times before that my biggest regret was not ending the friendship sooner. And what I mean by that is that I definitely turned a blind eye to some of her behaviors for the first, I don't know how long, however many weeks, and I wish I didn't.
So there had been other things previous to that you'd seen that you didn't agree on or
questionable behaviors that I didn't agree with, totally.
Yeah.
And questionable things she'd say and I never pulled her up on it. And I'm being completely honest, I didn't. And I should have.
Yeah.
And so I guess when she said that, she probably thought, oh, Eden's on the same page as me. You know.
So you guys were quite close.
Yeah, we were totally.
At that point,
And then it was about that point, you know, in the weeks leading up to that and that I was thinking this girl's not my cup of tea, I suppose. This is not what I thought it was. It was supposed to be with our friendship. So I really was trying to take a back step. And then that happened. And I just didn't know what to do, I suppose, because I didn't even tell Jayden for the first couple of days because I was so nervous because I know that when you tell Jayden something, everyone's going to know about it.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. Did she tell you, like when she told you that she was going to catch up with this ex, she needed to look good, was there any inkling or did you have any knowledge that her and Tim were like rocky or she wasn't into him or so you
yes, I had an inkling that she wasn't into him, but she made
just
that very clear.
Or she made that clear to you?
Yes, very.
Okay, so Sarah's made it clear to you that she's not into Tim. She's staying in the experiment for.
I'd never questioned.
Okay, so
but this is what I mean. I should have questioned these things. I should have.
So these were
I just turned a blind eye to it all. I was like, okay, like to everything, and that's my bad. And you know, we live and we learn.
Of course.
But that's me not wanting confrontation and not wanting the drama with her. And then
which
eventually,
we saw that you know throughout. For
fair
you,
enough.
you were like,
Like, not
you
wanting
didn't
to
want the
confront
confrontation.
her.
You were like, I don't want
with
this.
anyone,
I don't need.
let alone with her.
Yes.
She's full on.
Yeah,
in my view.
At the retreat is when we see you're having like meltdown, anxiety. You've told Jayden
meltdown to say it lightly.
Yeah, and we obviously only saw like snippets through the door of you just like not coping with this information that you knew that you needed to tell.
Yeah.
So you told Jayden for the first time at the retreat?
I think it may have been on the way to the retreat on the flight, and then we re-filmed me telling him again.
Okay.
But I didn't tell, or it may not have been the flight. It may have been when we got there. I can't remember exactly, but it was like the first day of the retreat I told him.
Yeah.
And then they refilmed us sitting down and telling him because I kind of then just avoided him because I was trying to make him not say anything because I'm like, I'm stuck in a house with these people. Don't bring it up now.
I know, and this is the last place you want to bring it up.
And then be stuck in the next door room to them for the next 3 days. I was like, Jayden, don't you dare. And he's like, I'm walking out right now and I'm going to go down the corridor and tell them. And I was like, don't you dare. I was like, and then I was freaking out and crying like, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Yeah. And then, you know, the producers didn't know, but viewers saw the moment I told the producers for the first time. So with all the articles that say like the producers did this, it was fabricated. The moment I told the producers was on camera, or not on camera, it was through the door.
But you were on mic.
I've got this message. That was genuinely hand on heart the first time I'd ever
What was their reaction when you gave that to them?
They were like rubbing their hands together like,
well, obviously they were rubbing their hands. Were they like, oh my God? Or was it like,
I think my producer was a little bit confused. He couldn't understand what was wrong with me because I'd been so great the whole entire time and I'd had no problems. And he was like, why do you keep crying? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you hiding from everyone? And then I was saying that and I half told him, but I didn't fully tell him everything. And he was kind of like, what's going on? Like, what do you mean? Like, but he seemed very worried about me.
Yeah.
They were really good.
Because you just had this huge burden on you. And it was like, oh, you can't carry this anymore. It's like, I have this huge weight on me because I know this horrendous thing that's going on.
And you knew, like, the minute that you told Jayden, you knew, like, and the producers, okay, like, this is going to come out now. Like,
and so when I first told Jayden, I really just wanted to vent to him because I'd known for maybe like 2 or 3 days potentially at that point. And I just wanted to vent to him. And as soon as I started venting to him, you could see Jayden getting worked up, and he's like, I need to tell Tim. I'm going to tell Tim right now. And I was like, I want to tell Tim too, but maybe
let's just
sit and think about this.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, let's plan this out. Like Jayden's very like, he'll just do something on his emotion straight away. And I'm someone that stops and thinks.
Yeah.
Pros and cons, plan it out. Might take me a week.
Let's just map this out. We should say this in this order.
Yes. Yep. Like I'm like playing out the wording and everything, which is probably, I think you should be somewhere in the middle of that. Like I'm probably too extreme one way and Jayden's too extreme the other way. So somewhere in the middle would have been good. But
clearly you wanted to deliver it in a way that you could also deal with it because you wanted to get your words out right and you didn't want it to come out like the wrong way or like Chinese whispers and like he said, she said,
Yeah.
So
stupidly I said, Jayden saw the message on my phone to Sara. I didn't say that I told him because I was scared of how she would respond if she knew that, I broke her trust and I showed him the messages. So I was like, oh, he just walked past and saw it on my phone, which is silly. And it's just like a stupid white lie that I shouldn't have told. And on reflection, she was going to be annoyed.
Either way.
Whatever. And this is just me overthinking.
Well, you were just trying to kind of minimize I guess the carnage that was going to be because you knew it was going to be.
Yep.
And I completely understand.
I feel like
that.
I would have done the same thing. Like how can I create this in a way of like
minimizing
it just happened,
Yeah. And I really thought she was going to bite my head off, but she actually didn't, which was nice.
Well, I guess she can't really bite your head off. She couldn't.
When you were pulled aside in the cocktail room and it all came out. I mean, she had to just sit there and take it, didn't she?
Yeah.
Like she had no other choice.
Jayden and I did have like extensive conversations on the way that we would do that, whether it would be, at the dinner table or in their room or in the cocktail room or at the start of the night at the end. Like we talked about it in length for so long.
Tried to plan it out.
Yeah, no, really. And it had to happen at the dinner party. You guys know how this works. It has to.
Yeah.
In real life, and I've seen a lot of comments about this, in real life, would I have done it at a dinner party with 15 of my friends?
No.
No way.
But this isn't real life. This is a TV show.
This is Married at First Sight.
Also, we wouldn't be at a dinner party with those people in real life.
No.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
You're not at a dinner party with people that you don't want to be at a dinner party with. So,
but I was very strongly that I'm not doing it in front of everyone else. I wanted to do it aside.
Yeah.
And then it was the conversation of me and her go alone and I like just me pull her aside and I said, I'm too scared. So I was like, Jayden has to come with me. I'm too scared.
I don't blame you.
And so Jayden's like, yep, I'll come with you. And then I was like, well, if we do that, then she's going to go to Tim and she won't tell him the truth because I won't be sitting there.
You need to speak to both of them.
So that's why we made the decision and we did it the way that we did it. But this was an extensive conversation that I was too scared to have again on camera, which I should have had on camera because that kind of just shows the way I thought about it and the way I was processing it. And but I just was like, if everyone's going to hate me, this is the worst thing in the world. But I'm just a big overthinker.
That.
No, I'm just such an overthinker. It's so stupid.
No, it is. And no, it's not stupid. I think because all your emotions are heightened like so much when you're in the experiment and you're like overthinking things.
Yeah.
I completely understand it. And for something that is going to blow up, especially towards a person that doesn't take shit that well.
Yeah.
Doesn't really deal with confrontation that well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
No.
It was a very interesting situation to analyse when we were watching it. She had to just sit there and take it. And then Tim's face was literally like,
he was
went
shattered.
white and just was like,
He honestly looked heartbroken.
He was heartbroken. You could literally see the
white
moment.
noise. It was just like
Yeah.
that real silence. It's like you black out a bit and
Yeah.
you're like, wow, is this really happening?
I remember me and Jayden kind of bickering with her over it. And Tim turned his back to us in the conversation and was just, and then I was like, oh, I feel really bad now. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to leave you guys to it because I thought I've done enough here.
Yeah.
I freaked out and I was like, Jayden, let's go. Jayden was ready to sit in the middle of the two of them for the next hour, but I was like, no, let's go.
It was like, strap in, let's go.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
loves it.
Remind me what happened. So they had their little chat and then Sarah, I think Tim walked out, but Sarah came back and sat in the dining room.
Oh,
And then she started screaming at the rest of the group. Is that what happened?
eventually.
But yeah.
I mean, there was an hour or two, but
Why was she screaming at the rest of the group? Or was she screaming at you guys? I don't remember.
Oh, it was the whole table because I guess the whole table were kind of
Heard.
going at her, I
Yeah.
suppose. Yeah.
Well, what did she expect?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think
Me not to say anything. I think that's what she expected.
She wasn't prepared for
Well,
what she
Yeah.
got thrown at her.
She wanted to get away with it. She didn't think that she'd ever actually get caught out.
Yeah. And I did break her trust. That's the thing. 100% I did. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't need a friend like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I have like the most amazing group of girlfriends from home, from
Yeah.
Adelaide that I've had for 10 years and none of them would ever treat someone
But
like
it's like
that.
you knew
No.
this chick for like maybe like 4
weeks.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You knew that telling
Like,
this
babe,
information
would
was
end the
going
friendship.
to end the friendship
Yep.
and you were okay with that
I was
because
okay
you're
with
like, I don't agree with things that you're saying and
And also,
doing.
you don't owe someone you've known for 4 weeks anything. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
and also, Tim is a good guy and we could
Yeah.
all see that.
yes,
We
and
all
you obviously
saw.
could.
Loved
And you're
him.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this poor guy who's putting in so much effort. And like previous to that, you'd seen that she'd cancelled on dates.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, everyone was seeing on the couch sessions and at the dinner parties that,
Yeah.
you know, Tim was putting in all this effort and she was just like so laissez-faire about it. And then you find out that she's going and catching up with her ex. So, of course, like, what does she think is going to happen?
There was also a scene that night at the dinner party when it all came back to the table and I was sitting there thinking, is Lauren going to like step up and
Yes.
stick up for my girl?
She did.
I'm curious because we didn't, see, that on the
No,
show.
yeah, she did. Yeah. She
So
was kind of going at
She
everyone.
was
Oh,
silent.
okay.
In
from what we saw, yeah.
Yeah. When it first got brought up at the table, I'm pretty sure, and it was people saying, yeah, but she just went and caught up with her ex. And Lauren's initial reaction was, yeah, and?
Right.
And I remember all of us being like, and? What do you mean?
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah.
Because
yeah.
Lauren obviously knew as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was removed.
That's what
Lauren's support in that dinner party was removed.
Yeah.
Why do you think that support was removed from the dinner party?
I don't know why they do edit things the way they do. I think as a majority, and I don't know if you felt this about your season, it was fairly accurate. I'd say like 90% accurate. I wouldn't say that there was too much. You know, there's a bit of context removed. Some parts of people's personalities aren't shown, including mine, including everyone's. It's just the way that it goes.
Yeah.
But majority, it was pretty fair. But yeah, that wasn't in there for some reason.
I think for that, like what actually went down, even if they did show Lauren defending Sarah, it's like, well, no, Sarah's in the wrong. So there's nothing that anyone can really say or do. Like you left the experiment, you left your husband who you're meant to go see your ex. Like that's just wrong, full stop. So I think using Lauren as a friend to stick up for her is going to go nowhere either way.
Yeah.
It was like not
know.
It wouldn't have
putting it in.
added anything or
Value
not.
or
Yeah.
value. Yeah.
Look, but I think as like sitting here and getting all the facts, I'm like, it adds something to me. So I'm just saying, I'm like, okay, let's put that right there in the back of the head.
Yeah, I
You know,
mean,
it's
it probably adds a little bit to how you'd feel about what happened at the reunion.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it makes a lot.
potentially maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I can't speak on other people's behalf.
Well, yeah, you can't speak on other people's behalf, but you can. You lived it, baby. You can speak what you.
potentially that could be why it was removed. Maybe because it would devalue what happened at reunion.
Yeah, right.
If people knew that.
So what was the group dynamic like after that happened? Like after that dinner party, after that commitment ceremony?
That was like the first big, like, this is going to probably cause a divide.
What was it like at
blow
Sky
up.
Suites? What was it like at future dinner parties?
I had to be escorted down the corridors to walk down the corridors for the next like week or two.
Because there had to be no interaction or you didn't want any interaction?
I was scared.
Yeah.
I was genuinely scared of what they would say or whatever. And then
It's like animals, isn't it?
Yeah, it was
Animals
pretty
in a fucking
wild.
zoo.
And then I'm an overthinker. Maybe nothing would have happened, but that's just the way I am.
You didn't want the confrontation. I didn't want to risk you.
You know, yeah.
And then I guess like before, you know, the commitment ceremonies and the dinner parties, like those two people were separated from the rest of the group completely.
Oh.
So like, you know, the commitment ceremonies where everyone's kind of waits
and
out the back,
the girls are together and the boys are together.
Those two were, completely separate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
until the very last one. I think that maybe their request. I don't really know.
Well, they would have.
But I remember freaking out on the way to the next one because I'm like, I'm gonna have to sit in that thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
I know. Yeah, we know what that's like.
Yeah, I know.
I
You would have had that because you had obviously beef with another girl. On there too.
and eventually I was just like,
did that happen? You guys get separated in that waiting area?
after the
towards the end.
Yeah, towards the end,
together.
it was like after the whole OnlyFans thing. I remember the commitment ceremony after that. I was like a shell of a human. I was literally so fucked. And I said to them, look, if you want me to even get out of the house, I couldn't even get out of bed that day. I said, if you want me even to get to the filming, I said, Jack's going to stay with me all day and that's it. And they go,
And
okay,
then
you
you
can
came-
stay together.
and you came at like the very last minute.
Oh yeah. No, babe, I couldn't get out of bed. I was like, I can't do like it was the worst day ever.
Wow,
and
that's really nice that
they were
him stay
great
with
in
you.
that. Like, and you know, they knew that.
Well, they do have to have some level of duty of care.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And so
I found their duty of care great, to be honest. Really.
Yeah, it's
whenever I asked for
but
something,
it's the people that, you know, didn't get what they wanted out of the experiment, or
Who will say that there was
will
no
say
duty
that
of
there was
care.
no duty of care.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
I
it-
think that was an amazing duty.
And,
of care.
it happens constantly every
year.
Every season, it's the people that shit talk it
Yeah.
are the ones that didn't get out of the experiment what they came in there looking for. And it'll happen this year, and I'm sure it already has.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
whatever you ask of them, I feel like they just bend over backwards and make sure that you get it. Like, I'm hungry. They bring you food.
Yeah.
I need this. Like, they're just so, like, they're so great. I really think they
I remember
are.
I had a UTI and I had one
You
of
fucking poor bitch.
I know.
UTI.
I woke up with a
We
UTI
talked
this
before
morning.
about UTIs.
Yeah, I woke up this morning with a fucking
Honestly.
UTI. But I remember I had a UTI in MAFS and the AP went and got me the Ural sachets and an antibiotic in my script.
I
is very nice.
when we moved from hotel to move into Sky Suites, I left my foundation in the hotel and we had the dinner party.
Yeah.
Maybe it was different. Maybe it was like I left it in the honeymoon or something.
Yeah.
Had no makeup. They sent a runner to Mecca to buy my makeup for me and delivered it to me so I could get ready for the dinner party.
Yeah, see that?
Because I was like, guys, I'm going to Mecca. They're like, no, you're not. We'll go.
see,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like there's a person that will do that for you. It's
Literally.
like, you know, there's the reason that you can't do those things during the experiment.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
You and Jayden after this, I feel like that's where you and Jayden really
Yeah.
took a turn.
Crumbled a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I feel like for you, there was a bit of maybe not trust, but you just knew, okay, I'm dealing with a guy who is going to tell everyone things that I don't want to be shared.
Yeah, I just think Jayden does actually really thrive during confrontation in a way that like he. Do you want to
up. Do you want to come here? Up.
He will. He'll come up.
Up. Good boy. Up.
Come on, hop up.
Come on.
Oh my God, so cute. Yeah, so Jayden really thrives in the confrontation. He's the least aggressive guy I've ever known, which I know that might surprise people. No matter how worked up someone is, no matter how angry or how intense a fight gets with a stranger, with Timothy, with me, with anyone, Jayden is 100% composed, does not raise his voice, does not get aggressive ever. Some people, you know, Timothy might slam his fists on a table and Sarah might scream, and you know, even I've yelled at him, Jayden, before. He'll never raise his voice. He can stay composed no matter how much he's pushed.
And do we think that this is because of the fighting skills?
Possibly.
Yeah. Like he's got to not show the component that he's scared or fired up or feeling weakness.
He can just, I've never seen someone compose themselves so well as he does in an argument. No matter what, he just never.
That commitment ceremony though, post the whole Sarah thing, that was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to watch.
Yeah.
When he was like constantly going and you're just saying no. Like,
is this when Sarah and Tim were on the couch and you and Jayden were on the other couches?
Yeah.
And Jayden was
was a nightmare.
like, tell him what you heard Sarah doing.
Yes.
What she said.
What she said about Tim. Yeah. And you were
So-
like, I don't want to get involved.
The thing with that was that maybe a day or two after she told me about seeing the ex, I saw her. She was like texting the ex. And she had shown me a little bit of a text and it was basically just paying Tim out. And she was laughing about it.
Right.
And half showed me it, telling me laughing. And I was kind of like, oh, that's not very nice. Like, haha. And I just vented to Jayden about that night. And Jayden's like, well, I'm going to tell him. I'm like, Tim already knows what's gone on.
been
We
there.
don't need to do this again.
Poor Tim.
Yeah.
I'm like, we don't need to do this again in front of everyone. Like, let's just leave it. Like, I didn't know the exact words that were said. I couldn't remember. She briefly showed me. She briefly told me. I was like, I don't know the exact words. I don't know exactly what was said. I don't want to like come out with something when I don't have the 100% fact.
Yeah.
I know approximately that you know.
Yeah.
And because I remember saying back that that's not, you know, great.
Yeah. That time when you guys were sitting on the couch and you were like, I don't want to talk about it. We don't need to bring it up. Jayden's like,
I was
you know.
I don't even remember what was said. Like, this isn't necessary.
And then he was kind of like, oh, why did you tell me then?
yeah.
It's
I was like, I
like-
should be able to vent to my partner.
And that was my thoughts too. I'm sitting there thinking, you know, this poor girl is just wanting to talk about what's going on, like in confidence, in privacy.
Which you do in a
we're already
relationship.
saying so much because we're here filming a show. Like, just for 1 minute, babe, let me just tell you what's going on.
Yes.
But it's like he just couldn't give you that.
No. He really, and he'd often say like, I want to do everything with the experiment. Like I want to like, which I get. And, you know, I really wanted to be in the experiment too and do all the things. But I think there's a line where it becomes like, we're getting too involved in these people's relationships that we don't need to be.
But it's also like, what about us?
Yes.
And yes, we're here to do this. Yes, we're here to, you know, talk about everyone's relationships. But what about our relationship?
Yes.
Like he was willing
that's what's important too.
to ruin your bond and your connection just to like air everybody else's laundry out, dirty laundry out.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, I agree. I felt like we weren't put as a priority. It was, you know, making sure everyone else knew what was going on about other people that was the priority.
And clearly we had seen that you were having anxiety and you were really struggling.
Yeah.
And it was just like he did not care.
Yeah.
You know?
That's something that I don't understand is that he's obviously been privy to the information that this was stressing you out.
Yeah.
You know, having to bring this shit up to the group.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, and obviously all the viewers can see that too, because when we put a call out to our listeners and followers that,
I'm interested
you know,
to see.
that we were having you on, a lot of messages came through about your anxiety and that they were really empathetic towards you and that seeing you struggle was really hard. They really wanted to know, how did you cope with a partner that didn't understand anxiety and wasn't really supportive in that? Like, what did you do and how did you get through it?
I think there was moments where he was supportive, and I don't want to ever sit here and say he never, ever, ever was.
Yeah.
I think when it came to confrontation with other people, he definitely wasn't. He thrives in confrontation. He loves it. So he didn't want to not do something that he
Was good at.
and enjoys, I suppose. Yeah. And like when I think there were moments where he would step up and really try and comfort me and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a bit of both, because sometimes I was just like, he doesn't get it. And then sometimes he did really get it. So it was hard. But I think the thing that the show kind of made it look like I have this like crippling social anxiety every time I walk out the house and I can't socialize with anyone.
It did look like that. I will be honest.
I know.
They really made out like, yeah.
Well, I think because it was such a part of your relationship in that he wasn't listening to you.
Yes.
And I think they use the anxiety to be like, well, look, you know, Eden's anxious and he's not understanding or not listening to her. So I can see
and
why.
that is true.
Yeah.
Yes, it is true. But I think it just is heightened when it's on a show, of course.
Yes. Of
course.
And my emotions were heightened from being on a show.
Yeah.
You think as well, when you go to these dinner parties, you're at a dinner party with 20 extroverts all sitting at a table, but then you're also there with 20 cameramen, 20 sound guys, 20 producers out the back. It's just a lot of pressure and I'm not used to that. And I think there's on the odd occasion when I go out, I think, I feel a bit uncomfortable. I don't want to be here. I just go home, give Cub a cuddle and I'm happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But majority of the time I can go out with my friends, socialize. I'm pretty confident. I'm happy, calm, no problems.
Yeah.
It does hit me sometimes though. But really in those last few weeks, the last few dinner parties, it hit me hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just don't think I can handle this anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that was a combination of just like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Having all those people there in a room is a lot. And then also the combination of Jayden really wanting to be so involved with everything made me really be less and less and less involved. And then even just fighting with him made me anxious too, because I don't like confrontation.
And that's where, towards the end of the experiment, the dinner party where you guys had a fight beforehand and you were really quiet. I think you were wearing purple. Were you wearing purple? Yeah. It was a gorgeous dress.
Natalie Rolt, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I remember being like, that.
I mean, best dressed every week.
Oh, yeah, best dressed every week.
Oh my God, I was living.
Seriously, if there was one title I'd want, it'd be that. So thanks.
Well, you got a girlfriend.
But that dinner party, I remember, what was the fight that you had before the dinner party though?
I was just saying I didn't want to go because I didn't want to get in confrontation.
Yes.
And he was like,
and you couldn't
no,
trust.
it's because you don't want everyone to know what, like, how we're going or something.
But you couldn't trust him. Even like you didn't know. You were going to this dinner party being like, he could potentially like bring everything up that I don't want to talk about. And he was like, it's fine. It's not going to happen. And then you guys go into the separate room during the dinner party.
Yeah.
And that's when we see him just talking at you and you're just agreeing with everything.
And you're
that
just
he's
like,
saying.
yep, yes, Jayden. Yep, yep. And that was, wow, man.
That was really hard to watch.
Watching it back a second time as well, I felt it in a different way. I remember at the time I thought, I just must be impossible. Like no matter what I say, I just can't like get it right with him. I must have something wrong with me.
So you were putting it on yourself, being like,
in the
oh my
moment.
God, I just can't do anything right for him. Like I'm just
I did feel like I had to agree with him no matter what, which I knew was a problem, but I did feel like I also was a problem. And then I think watching it back, I definitely have problems. I'm not saying I don't, but watching it back, I was really like, he's just not picking up on any of the cues that I'm leaving here at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I did feel bad that I was like taking away something that he enjoys, which is like the confrontation and the going back and forth with everyone at the dinner party. And I didn't want to take that away from him. So that's why I kept saying, you go back in there and I'm just going to go home because then you can just go and do it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Without me being like, oh my gosh, this is awkward. Like,
And I think at some point, I think at one point that night you were saying, I just want to go, like I'm done. And we were, I think maybe as the viewers, unsure if it was like I'm done with Jayden or I'm done with the experiment.
Yeah.
I mean,
or with the dinner party. Like we didn't know one.
Yeah. I mean, we knew that you weren't done with Jayden.
Yeah, but I probably didn't make that clear either. So I think that was one of the things Jayden kept bringing up. He kept saying, you keep saying you want to leave, or you keep saying you're done and with this and that. But I probably wasn't making it clear enough that I meant the experiment, the dinner party, the show. It was never Jayden. It was never ever Jayden. Like it was, Jayden was always my number one priority. I was obsessed with him from the very first day.
Yeah. And then homestays.
My homestays was actually really good. I felt like they were good.
I remember you said that to me, but what we saw is it was a nightmare. Like it was not. It was like raining and it was awkward. You know, and you missed the flight.
You left him at the airport.
You left your husband all high and
You left
dry.
your husband. You
He's
pissed
waiting
off
for hours. You know, where's my wife? I don't know.
Oh, it's like, fuck.
So if you want the real story about
we
the
want the real story, please.
So the missed flight, the first thing that morning, I had a broken nail and I had a few things I needed to get from the shops, which is so petty. And I didn't need to be at the airport till say it was 11 a.m. or something. So I was like, cool, I'll duck into the city, get the things I need, get my nail done, all of that. Then I'm going to be like prepared and organized for homestays. So I did that, and the traffic coming back from the city was just chaos,
Sydney's
like so
like that.
bad. And I just was stuck, and I took too long while I was in the city as well. And I was texting Jayden like, I've missed this bloody flight. Like, this is.
So
a
you were
nightmare.
texting Jayden.
Yeah, he knew where I was at.
He knew where you was.
Yeah,
and you missed the flight. He's on the other end here in the Gold Coast coming home. You got the flight. They made out like, he was waiting and waiting.
I was lost.
On the side curb. Like, where is my wife?
Yeah.
I'm waiting all this time. But he knew where you were the whole time.
Yeah.
And so you got there, and I mean, even then, like, it seemed a bit like tense or just a bit off, even the way that you guys were just saying hello.
Yeah,
and
when
like,
you got out of the car and it was weird. Did you
Yeah.
feel that, or was that just how it was portrayed on the show?
were you guys in like a
I
good
didn't-
place going to homestays?
Yeah.
See, that's
I
so-
didn't feel that at the time, but I don't know. I was probably in a bit of a bad mood because I just missed my flight and I
Yeah.
was probably a bit annoyed. So maybe that could have actually been accurate, and I just, was in
a
my
bit
own
flat.
head.
And
I definitely was flat, but I didn't think it was that bad. So potentially I'd maybe put him in a mood too because I was just in a mood myself. and
Yeah.
like,
So
nah.
you didn't know any of that
No.
happened until you watched it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How? And you guys, when you watched that, you guys are still together, right?
Yeah.
In real
yeah,
time?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
And
yeah.
what
I
was
remember
that
being
kind
like, what is going on here? I was like, what the hell?
And did he say why he did that?
Nah. I honestly didn't even question it. I was just like, I didn't really care, to be honest. I was like, I'd missed the flight because I broke my bloody nail.
Yeah.
What's worse? That or I left him and I was like, they're both as bad as each other. I don't really care, to be honest. I thought it was a bit like, what is he doing? But I didn't really. I kind of was laughing when I watched it. I was like, this is so
ridiculous.
Yeah. Our homestay, I don't think it was like terrible. Yeah, I had a good time. Like we were there for 4 whole days and a lot of it wasn't shown. Like our final date, we went to this like pool bar and ate and we swam and had a really good time. And obviously you might have seen a lot of the photos that I posted of Jayden and Cub during the time we were home. And, you know, we swam and went to the beach and walked and I spent time with Mitch and his dad and his mum and we had a good time. Obviously the family lunch looked quite awkward, but
it looked awkward.
We had a good time. My dad and their family got along really well.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was awkward, but then obviously I'd never seen the conversation with Jayden and Mitch at the family lunch until watching it back on TV.
And then Mitch made that comment.
Yeah, saying something about me being controlling.
Yeah. And well, how was that for you? Like
me and Mitch were really close too. So I was a bit disappointed by that comment, if I'm honest, because I think that during the show, I spoke to Mitch on the phone all the time. He helped me out a lot with Cub during filming and I hardly knew the guy and he would go pick up Cub and help me with him. And he seemed really supportive of me and Jayden. So then when I watched it back and he was calling me controlling, I was like, I am the least controlling person ever. It would have been very relaxed.
A bit random of him to say that.
Shocking, confusing.
I never said anything to him about it. I was just like, wow, okay.
Oh, you're too good, babe.
Yeah.
But also she's probably
that shit up. She's probably like CBF because
I just couldn't.
Exactly.
At that point, you were like, this is ridiculous.
But also, and because the way that Jayden has been dealing with when they have arguments or like, she's like, can't be bothered.
Yeah, no, it's not worth the argument, to be honest.
And then there was that scene you guys had at the beach.
Yes, that was the one bad part of the homestay.
When you guys first got into Queensland and they're having a chat at the beach and you had Cub and he was again bringing up the issues and you were saying, you know, we don't need to talk about it again.
I was in a mood that day.
But he was again though bringing it up. Like he just
I don't
wanted
understand
to
the continuing to bring it up when it's obviously affecting you. Like you didn't want to talk about it. Why was he pushing it? Like,
I don't know. I at that point as well, I felt like I'd said sorry. He'd accepted my apology. Why do we need to keep going on about the same thing over and over again?
But that's
he wanted to. I was like, what more do you want me to say at this point? I feel like I've said sorry. I've acknowledged that I've done it. I've said that I've done the wrong thing. What more do you want from me at this point?
I'm just like, I'm remembering certain scenes and things that he said and it really is confusing. And like, if I was you, and it's how I felt as well, like leading up toward the end of my experience, like just confused. Like, you know, he would be saying, I'm in love with you. I'm falling in love with her. Eden's my world. I'll do anything for her.
Yeah.
But then if that's how you really feel about someone, like you respect that my partner doesn't want to do certain things and say certain things like, you know, let's go about this a different way. But he was not communicating with you in the way that you needed.
Yeah. And I think as well, as much as like it's a TV show and they sometimes, you know, encourage that they want you to talk about this or that or whatever it is, I felt I was really addressing it like this is my real full life partner. Yeah. And, you know, even when it came to say the confession letter, after the confessions week, Jayden didn't want to talk about it again. So I never ever brought it up, not once.
Wow.
Ever again. Because I knew that he wanted to move on from it. And I was like, I get that he doesn't want to talk about it and I want to be with him in the future. So I'm happy to not talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think, it was interesting to see that he didn't do the same for me, I suppose. Yeah.
During the show airing, there was an article that came out about Jayden asking Mitch for advice or something like during, is that true?
All right, guys, that's it for part 1 with Eden. Stay tuned for our part 2, which is going to recap all of what happened at that infamous Nova party and those photos that, albeit,
can't wait. Tomorrow on Sit With Us.
Might be offended by me saying that, but he is. As soon as we got there, he just completely ignored me. I think they're girls for each other, but not for anyone else. I was holding back tears hard the whole night.
So you didn't know any of that happened until you watched it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.